Do not let this hard left get us angry at each other, so we cannot have these conversations. Our strength is being able to respectfully agree to disagree, to see those things we have in common and go along and be friends and move forward and make our country strong.
Now a debate on campus that you may not have heard about. Should religious groups, student groups, receive the same assistance that other groups do? Meeting space, a portion of the activity fees, and more. Congressman Burgess Owens is chairman of the Higher Education and Workforce Development Subcommittee in the House, and he joins us tonight. Congressman, good to have you.
Rob, thank you, and I look forward to chatting with you, my friend, absolutely.
So, you know, the U.S. Department of Education is pushing back, trying to withdraw funds and not permit public universities from helping out, basically, religious organizations on campus. You are pushing back. What's the status of this right now?
Well, we just put together a letter, and just for those who are not aware, we have a very anti-faith administration. They're attacking every way they can. And I'll say this about faith. Without that, we lose everything that we've stood for. We lose our culture. And how they do that is they attack us at places where our children go to learn about our country, to learn about our culture. And in this case, they're trying to pull back basic rights, right of free speech and right of religion, which is our very first beginning of who we're all about. So we put together a letter. We're going to stay on top of it. I'll say this. I'm thankful to the American people. They voted to have a majority in the House. So it's a very small majority, but it's one to give transparency, to have conversations like we have today, and to push back on this very anti-faith administration. We cannot stand for this, my friends. I don't care how we stand on issues. This is what's made our country what it is, the freedom to express ourselves and to lead our faith or not to be faithful. Whatever we want to be, this is what we're all about. And we cannot allow administration to come in and turn this thing upside down as quickly as the Biden administration is trying to do right now.
So why is the Biden administration, through their Department of Education, doing this? Why the sort of the coercion to have no help for religious groups on campus?
It's a good question. That's a good question. What the Biden administration is really an example of what's really been going on for quite a few decades. We have the tenets to make our country great. It's very simple. It's the tenets that made my community really a great community when I was growing up in the segregated South. It's faith, the family, the free market, and education. That's what defines who we are. And no matter, even when during the times we were not assimilating as a culture, as a country, every single community grew because we understood that, and we loved our country because of that. We have an administration that's actually, I'll be straight out. It is being run by cultural Marxists. Marxists hate everything I just mentioned. They hate faith. They hate education. They hate the family unit. And they hate education. And they have actually done everything they could to destroy every one of those tenets. And we're seeing the result of that in communities like mine over the last 60 years. So what we have here is a group of people that have gotten to some power, and I think they're kind of panicking. They're realizing that the gig is up. COVID has pulled back the curtains. We're realizing we're getting our country back. We're asking certain questions. We're actually being transparent. And so they're going all in to do whatever the kind of damage they can in the time they have left. So I hope Americans are recognizing what we're up against. The misery we're going through is not by accident. And the attacks we're having on our culture, which begins with our faith, no matter how we worship, is a big piece of how they do that.
We see how many young kids, especially young men and boys, college age, who are depressed, suicidal, angry. We see the school shootings. You would think that the Department of Education or educators would want to nurture them, to give them some foundation that they really could use, right? Such as religion.
Yeah. Well, you're using common sense, you're using logic. When it comes down to dealing with the left, you cannot do that. This is to them a religion. When I say they hate, they really do. They want divisiveness. They want hopelessness. They want us to turn against each other. And everything they're doing, you look at every single policy they're putting forward right now, it's dividing us. It's teaching us we should look at each other inside out, not outside in. They're teaching our young men that all you have to do is wish that you can be a girl, you can be a girl. And not only does it demean womanhood, but it also demeans manhood. We need to have men who understand their role in this process to provide, protect, to partner, to be courageous, to stand and have a name as a legacy, and not to be whiners, weenies, and wimps because times get tough. And that's what the left is doing to us, is weakening our country by weakening our culture. So we have a fight that we're up against. I'll say this, Rob, why I'm hopeful is that Americans, when we wake up, when we start having these conversations, we know that we're up against an enemy. There's nothing more powerful than we the people. So as much as we're now seeing the detriment of this leftist pull, we are talking about it, and when we do, we come back strong, and we're going to get this taken care of and put back in the right direction. I feel very strong about that.
You played in sports, in locker rooms with guys that, all different stripes, right? And yet you were cohesive and you were able to play on the field and probably have fun afterwards. You said this recently, I think 2 years ago, the days of Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill are over. We're dealing with people who hate our country. How, if possible, can we get back to those days where we actually can disagree policy-wise, but at least respect each other and get things done?
Rob, that's a great question. And it comes down to this. We are the strongest. We have something in common. In the past, it's been our God. It's been our country, the love of nation. We talk about sports. What made sports and military so strong and cutting down these barriers? Very simple as this. You get on the field and all you care about is winning. And anybody who can bring value to the team, it didn't matter what the color was, the size, the background, as long as they brought value, they were respected. They were brought in. That's what our country's always been about. What the left has done now, they're using everything to divide us, including sports. Just imagine, we're now at a point, we have teams like the NFL and ABA that care more about the ideology and willing to divide us with this kneeling and all the things that are allowed to happen. And again, it's the divisiveness that gets them strong. Things like sports, which I grew up in and I loved it, and I still have brothers, I call brothers, of all kind of background, races and colors, because we had that experience together. That's the American way. We cannot allow any ideology, any person, any party to divide us. So when we come down to these CRTs, all of these letters that they put out now that just basically means Marxism, do not let this hard left get us angry at each other, so we cannot have these conversations. Our strength is being able to respectfully agree to disagree, to see those things we have in common and go along and be friends and move forward and make our country strong. And Democrats and Republicans, let's make sure that we do that. Do not allow this hard leftist Marxist who's hiding in the Democratic Party right now to divide us. We can do that by caring more about things that really matter to all of us, our kids, our country, our future together. We can get that done.